Hello and welcome to another video where I share with you the stages that you go through in order to improve your lessons using PowerPoint. Now, you realize that when I'm teaching you how to do something, I usually go from scratch. I create everything from scratch. Now, why is this important? While you can argue out there is a lot of content out there that is free for teachers to use. It is indeed there, but the problem is with any free content, if you go and design your content based on other people's creativity, at one time or another, somebody may come along and claim that they own that content, and therefore you may have your content taken down. For instance, if you are designing video lectures for the sake of sharing the same on YouTube, the moment you go through the monetization process, you'll find that somebody now can come along and claim ownership of certain clips you may have used in your video, and that may lead to your video maybe taken down or something like that. Since you want to be on the safe side, at the same time you want to improve, or you want to contribute to the amount of content which is online at this time, I usually take time to go through the whole process of creating something right from scratch. It is usually very, very interesting. For instance, over here, you can see I have a truck. It looks almost like as if it is real, but believe it or not, I have created that truck using Microsoft Word and then animated the same using PowerPoint. And you can see it is quite real. In this video, I will not take you through the process of creating all these truck, the whole of that truck. I want to deal with the background, because you can see that truck is moving, but it is not moving outside the frame of this video, but it creates the impression that it is moving. Now, why is it important? When you look at that question there where I'm talking about calculating the momentum of this truck, when you're given the mass and its velocity, the student can have a realistic picture of what I'm talking about. That one is very, very important. Don't lose of the fact that we are trying to bring our lessons to life. That is the main process. So instead of just drawing just a box and then making it to move, I would like to go ahead and create something which the learner can be able to relate to, because they've seen something like this. And therefore, if you're in a position to create, and if you're in this channel for the sake of learning how you can be able to create this kind of content, then just sit back and I'll show you how we do that. In this video, I just want to concentrate on the background. When you look at the background on this video, it is very realistic, because the objects which are nearer to us, they are moving a little bit faster. They appear to be moving faster. But the objects which are far off, like for example, that mountain over there, the hill structure over there, appears to be moving much, much slowly. Even the sun, I have created the sun somewhere there so that you can be able to see actually the sun also moving. I can be able to put clouds, I can be able to put trees and all that in this diagram. Now, why is that important? It is important to do that in order to create a picture in the learner's mind, because you will activate their imagination. They start imagining things when they see a lot of motion in your video or in your clips. So in this lecture, I want to show you how to create that realistic background which appears to be moving. And the moment it appears to move, it makes our object to actually to appear very, very real. So in order to do that, you'll need to know how to use Microsoft Word to create vector diagrams. Vector diagrams. You can see that the diagrams I create, they are it's not like the diagram you will draw on any using any other software, in the sense that you're able to see right through the empty spaces. Like for instance, over here, I'm able to see this mountain which is behind this truck. You can see that. And the mountain is moving much, much slowly than any other object that I would put there. It is slower than the road. So the first thing is how to create this mountain. So let's go to PowerPoint or Microsoft Word, because this one can be done when you're still on PowerPoint, especially when you don't want to go to the certain dimensions. For a truck like that one, especially for the tires and the chassis, you will want to use Microsoft Word because its grid is much finer. So let's go to PowerPoint, one of the slides in PowerPoint where I created this, and then I show you how to do that. So let me put this one away and the slideshow, and then I'll go over here. And you can see these are images that I've been able to draw right from scratch just by using the graphics tablet and the drawing tools found in Shapes. If I take this scribble here, this scribble line here, let me just connect the graphics tablet so that I can be able to draw, and you'll be able to see what happens. Now we are at this point. You can see over this slide, I drew a number of shapes. Then we've got some grass. There is a fella seated on some chair. There is a hut there. There is a tree and all that. There is a road that I had animated and other shapes over here. Now, let me just show you how you use one of the tools here. Under Shapes, you will go to this scribble here, that line there. Click on it, and using the graphics tablet, I want to show you how you can draw one of these shapes. You can see that pencil icon there. Let's assume I want to draw some kind of tree or bush or even grass. What I need to do is, so I start scribbling. Maybe I want to draw some kind of thorn tree. Maybe that will be one of the shapes. Now, when you are using this scribbling tool, you have to keep the pen on that space. Otherwise, if you just lift the pen, you find that the scribbling stops. Let me put away this animation. And remember, this is PowerPoint. We are in PowerPoint. I can continue. I can pick the line again, draw this part here, you know, the trunk of the tree over there, draw this other part here. Can use a bit of, just a bit of that. And there you have your tree. You can change the color of this tree, since that you'll just need to select. Now this part is selected. You go to Format, Shape Outline, because actually you're using a line. You can make it green, and you can see it changes to green. You can change its color because, and there you have it. You go to the other part over there. You also make it green, and you can see you've got a tree. This is the shape that you are going to animate. All right. So because it is made out of two shapes, I'm going to select that one. Select this one too. Then go to Format, Group, so that that shape acts like one shape. And then I will go to Animation, Add Animation. And then I want it to move to the left. So I'll go down here, Motion Path, and then look for left over there. Double click it, and there it is. And you have the tree starting to move. It can move over a long distance because you want it to move out of this particular frame over here, like this tree. It's outside the frame. And looking at this arrow that traverses all the way like that, and it goes beyond this point, you'll be able to see that once it starts moving, it will appear in the scene at that particular point and then disappear from the scene from this other point here. It will disappear from the scene from this point. And let me just take you to the slideshow so that you can be able to see what I mean by that. So there we have it. There I have my tree, and it has disappeared from the scene. And then it starts over from that other point. So if I wanted a background that moves, that is how I would do it. I would be able to animate each one of these shapes that I've been able to draw here, including the road. So actually you can see you can draw your own shapes depending on your own imagination and what you want the students to be able to see. If I click, this other one starts moving also, but you can see it just moves from here and stops here and doesn't repeat that motion. Let me show you how you get that motion to repeat. So you'll go to animation, activate the animation pane, and here you have the animation for this second tree. Like I said, all you need to do is just make this arrow to be as long as possible, like that. Now, how do I make it to go outside this scene? I will go to view over here, and then when I'm on zoom, I will go to a percentage lower than 100, maybe let's say 50, something like that. And you can see it reduces the size of the frame to a very small size. So I'm able to grab that and even take it to that particular point. And then I will get the tree itself using the arrow keys, take it outside the frame. Let's say maybe at some point there, or I can just drag it using the cursor. Go back to the animation, make it a little bit longer, and now it will be such that at a certain point it will come into the scene and disappear from the scene, from the frame at this other point. So I wanted to show you how you make that motion to repeat. So you'll go to this advanced settings over here, click on that arrow, then click on timing. Then if you want the object to move very fast, you'll have to make this time to be as short as possible. But if you want it to move slowly, you'll make it to be a little bit longer, like for example 5 seconds. Let me make it to be 10 seconds. And that is the way it will move. And I want both of them to move at the same time, so it will start with the previous. You've seen what I've done. Clicked there and then say start with previous. Just as simple as that. So both of them are going to start at the same time. Click that and you have the two of them moving. You can see one of them is moving faster than the other. Let me try to put the two to be somewhere around there and then play again. You can see that other tree that I've just created right now is moving much faster. Actually, I want it to move slowly and I want that motion to repeat over and over. So I go back to timing, repeat motion, and then I say until next click. I just click on that. Now I want that object, I want the tree in the background. You know, objects which are far away from you will appear to be moving much slower than the objects which are very near. So what I will do is to increase the speed of the object which is nearer which is nearer to the frame, near us, so to speak. So the moment I click on that object or its animation, this one is highlighted and I know what I'm dealing with. I want the object which is near us, which is that one. It was the first one. So I want it to be moving a little bit faster. So I'll change its timing to about 3 seconds. Let me again see what happens when I click the play, both of them. Exactly. That is what I want. You can see the tree which is near us is moving much faster than the tree in the background. We refer to this situation as parallax in physics. So you can make use of parallax to create realistic backgrounds, as I had shown you in the other slide. I still haven't made this one to repeat over and over again, so I'm going there and say until the end of slide, and there you have it. It's going to repeat over and over again. And in our scene, it appears quite crowded. I should have removed all these other objects, but I hope you are following what I'm doing. So let me go to slideshow, current slide, and click play. There you have the tree moving very fast, and the one which is a little bit far is moving much slowly. You can see that over there. That tree is moving much slowly than the one which is near us. Now it is at this point that I would animate this road. This is another scene. I've just clicked, and it is the scene that I had used with that truck. Let's see. Let me go to 100% view or fit to the window. That is the best kind of size of the frame that I need in order to make any changes. So any of the shapes that you've created here can be made to move, and that creates a background that is in motion, so that when I put my object here, it will now be moving to the right. It will move to the right because the objects in my scene are moving to the left. And that is what we have out there naturally. When an object is moving to the right, if you look at the background, it always appears to be moving in the opposite direction. Sometimes some of the objects which are very far away from you actually will appear to be moving in the same direction as the object is moving. Actually, they are also moving backwards. It's only that their speed is much slower than the speed of the objects which are near us. I hope you're getting this concept of trying to create a background which is moving in order to make the background to be as realistic as possible. Now, why is that important? It is important because when it comes to animating an object that I am interested in, such as this truck here, when it comes to animating this object, which is the subject of my discussion in that example, I want it to remain within the frame. You can imagine if I make it to move and then it moves out of that frame. You'll find that I have lost the imagination of the student. And because I don't want to do that, I want it to remain there and make the background to move. And this is what I was talking about. Look at the sun and compare its motion with that of the background here. It is moving very slowly compared to the motion of the background, that hill over there. And you can see it is rising. Now it will take a long time before it appears again. I just hope that by the time I'm through with this truck, the timing I've done for the sun is such that I will have ended the lesson by the time the sun comes back. The other thing you notice in this animation here is that I only have one hill. I can create several of these. So let's go back, and now we want to create this particular hill and maybe do that shading. And here we are. Using the same tool, you can draw the hill. you can see if I click on it, it's an object that I had, it's a free form object that I had drawn. So I go to insert, go to that scribble line over there, and I want to draw my heel. This will be the base of my heel, and then I'll have the heel the way I want. Such a heel. Then the next thing is to try and give it some color. So I'll go to shape, fill. Remember the other one was shape outline because it was just made out of lines. And by the way, you can make that object to be as realistic as possible. Look at this thorn tree here. You find that, okay, it's not seen very well. I will go to shape outline and increase the weight of the lines, and you can see now it's become much thicker. Okay, I'm on to this one, so I go to shape fill. I can go to texture, and I go to more textures over here until I have this. The kind of shape fill I want is a gradient fill. Click on that, and if it is blue, you can see there is some kind of gradient. You can see the depth of the blue color fades as the lower you go, like that. And because it was hill, I wanted some vegetation over here, so I've got to choose maybe a color like this one. You can see that, and I can change that gradient to my liking. Notice that when I slide that contact there, or that arrow there, the gradient changes. And maybe I want something like that. I could choose one whereby it's made up of several colors, such that there is some bluish there, and there is the green color at the bottom part here, showing that this one is more like the mountain is very high, and you know, the higher the mountain, of course, it becomes bluish in color, especially if the mountain is very far, and then the vegetation which is near us is greenish, you know, that kind of thing. So you can play around with these settings here to make your backgrounds to be as realistic as you want. And that is how you would go about making or creating a background which is in motion, a realistic background, in order to ensure that the shape that you are interested in remains within the frame, so that as you discuss that particular lesson, the students are able to follow along. And remember the need to create your own shapes, because you want to own every part of that video. That one is very important. I want to repeat it here, just in case you're making content for YouTube, and at some time you want, at a certain point, you might want to monetize some of the videos which you have. At that particular point, YouTube will come in and try to check whether you've used content which is owned by other people. Now, YouTube might not know the source of the clips or the source of the files that you've used in your video, but somebody watching your video later on may come up and say that they own a particular file or a particular clip that you've used in your video. At that particular point, YouTube will ask you to take it down because somebody has made a claim onto it. At the same time, you will have the same video being demonetized. And this one, if it happens over and over again, you might have your whole channel demonetized. Now, you're making this content with a long-term goal that at some point you're going to monetize your content. So you need to be safe. And one of the best ways to be safe is to ensure that everything that you use in your video, you've created it. If that is not the case, then you've got to recognize the source of the clips that you have used, which is a slightly longer process. So I will take a shorter process, which is create my own clips. And you can see that when you create your own clips, actually it becomes so nice because actually you're using your own creativity. So I want us teachers to be in a position whereby we bring our creativity to life. Many times we are urging our students to be creative. We are urging our students to go out there and create jobs rather than waiting to be employed. But we forget that the best form of learning is to learn by setting an example. And that is what I'm doing in my channel. Everything in my channel, I show you how to create it right from scratch. Unless I have imported something from elsewhere and then inserted it in my video, which is quite rare because I hardly do that because I'm aware of what can happen in future. Even in a simulation like this, you might look at tires like this and think that, oh, I got them from some other site. Actually, I created everything that you can see over here just using Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. For instance, if you've not watched my last video on how to animate a moving bicycle, go right there and look at the bicycle that I created there. I took you from one step right from the basics all the way to the point where the bicycle is actually moving. The only thing that I'm not able to do right now is to draw the rider. And I know I can be able to draw a stick person riding that particular bike along that particular scene. Why do that? Bring your lessons to life. And when you make your lessons to come to life, you're going to hold the attention of the students a little bit longer, a little bit, they're going to spend more time watching your videos. Now, when you do that, you're going to make sure that you have a larger audience of students who choose your lessons over other people. At this time of lockdown, you realize that students are forced to look for content online. I can assure you that after the lockdown, things will not be the same. These students will have gone online and they will have discovered other teachers out there who are better than their real-time teachers in classroom. Even before lockdown, students had already started going online and looking for content out there. Fewer and fewer students were relying on their actual teachers in school for solving problems or for teaching them certain concepts. And if you've been online for a long time, you will agree with me that there are teachers out there who are so good in what they do that if these students land on such sites, you will lose all your students. So it is important that you improve your skills. You don't stick to the old ways of teaching. Move online. Change with the times. Maybe that one is subject to, that one is a subject for another video that I might make in future. Teachers need to move with the times. And in fact, this particular video over here is an attempt to make teachers to move with the times because students have migrated from the actual classroom to online classroom. It is teachers who have been left behind. Of course, for certain reasons. Because for one thing, the teachers were not trained to do this kind of work. In our college days, we are not trained to do this kind of work. But teachers can also learn new skills out there. Again, I go back to doing things by setting an example. You want your students to be able to learn what you teach them. You encourage them to change their mindset and have a learning mind. But when it comes to teachers, you find that teachers are very hard to teach. So, do things by example. Try to change the way you do things, the way you approach your lessons. And that is what my channel is all about. So if you sit there and maybe you'd like to join me along as we go through this journey, I don't know everything. I'm learning new things on a daily basis. Join me in this journey so that we can put our creativity together, so that anything that I create, you get to know and you get to learn how to do stuff using ICT. So go right ahead, subscribe to this channel if you've not done so already, and let's build each other together as we prepare for the times after lockdown and beyond.